to the stomach wall, plugs into the mucous membrane. It starts replicating, and it might create 1 million more viruses inside that cell. The cell busts open, virus plugs in, programs it, turns the cell's engine on to manufacture viruses. The cell swells, busts open. There's 1 million viruses, sometimes more, sometimes less. Some systems, it's tens of millions they report. But 1 million viruses spill out whose DNA has now been replicated, and you're going to have a mutation right there. It hits the next group of cells. Now the millions turn into billions. They replicate. This is when you start getting sick. Your body heats up to slow down the viruses. It sends out white blood cells. Okay, that first virus hits, boom. 1 million more come out, then 1 billion, then hundreds of billions, then thousands of trillions, then trillions. There's mutations and errors in the code as all of this goes on. And, a virus gets blasted by a group of white blood cells, and then it mutates even more, then it mixes with human DNA. It's changing. All these things are going on inside the cells. And then this guy sneezes in a grocery store as he's getting sick in Mexico City. Somebody else gets it. This time it's 1 trillion replications later. Of course, they would say, each time the virus replicated would be 1 replication. So let's actually say it's 10 replications later, but there's all sorts of different replications and chains going on in different variants. So we could say 1 trillion or we could say 10. But let's just say it's already mutated several times. The person sneezes. Someone inhales that. Now it starts replicating and mutating again. And by the time it's gone through 10, 15 different people, that's thousands and thousands of replications. Depending on how you look at it, it could be trillions of replications. But, major changes have happened many, many times now, thousands of times. And so by the time it gets from Mexico City to South Texas and San Antonio and then Austin and Kansas and New York and Montreal and on airplanes all over the world, it has mutated until it is no longer as deadly as it was or as harmless. Now, talking to doctors, and that's why the particular doctor I talked to said, well, it looks like if it does start killing people in the U.S., then it is manufactured. It is manufactured. But in fact, I had this question all day. That's why I was calling doctors up, out of my Rolodex, and virologists, and looking online and trying to study it, even though I had a lot of knowledge on it. Because they're reporting 68 dead as of this morning, and now the BBC is reporting doctors inside hospitals are saying there's a cover-up because they don't want to have a panic, but that it's over 200 dead. I've got that report up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. Drudge is also a good clearinghouse of all this news that I've seen. Just giving you the best places I've seen. And with the most coverage, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. Drudge is good as well. Because I'm saying, wait, it's killing all these people in Mexico City. Everybody's wearing masks. The military's locking the cities down. They're basically declaring martial law down there. They got people quarantined in South Texas, and that's on record. Families are quarantined in several towns. There's people at hospitals quarantined in San Antonio and other hospitals. This is happening. But they're saying no deaths in the U.S., but all these deaths in Mexico. Well, if it is a naturally occurring mutation, if it wasn't injected or sprayed on people or put in food by black ops, as they've been caught in the New York subways in '68, releasing a bioagent, deaths resulted, details remain classified. You can just Google that at mainstream news. All these other cases, if it pops up all over the place like weaponized foot and mouth did in England in 2001, you can look at the maps all over England, hundreds of miles apart in a 2-day period. Weaponized foot and mouth pops up, and we go on air, we have scientists on, we go, this is weaponized, this is killing most of the cows and sheep that get it. That doesn't happen with regular foot and mouth. Only British and U.S. and French governments and the Russians have things like this. And then the government goes, oh, yeah, it's Porton down strain. Somebody stole it out of our level 4 bioweapons lab. And, again, was able to go spread it on farms and areas all over the country instantaneously. Baloney. That was the government. And they used it to crack down, take over agriculture, get control. Then they released it again last year. They've been caught in Australia doing it. They've been caught, just Google, British government caught, releasing bubonic plague over British cities. Google entire of England, entire nation, entirety. I forget the exact headline, but there's a headline in BBC where the whole country's been sprayed at one time or another with different agents. And that happens here in all these tests. But the point is that if it simultaneously pops up all over the place, all over a wide area, and it has the exact same response, and it doesn't mutate quickly, then 9 times out of 10, that's putting it lightly, it is staged. Now, you take that information, and we don't know yet. We don't know. Maybe that's why it's not killing people in Canada and the United States, from Kansas to Montreal to towns right outside Austin, Texas, where I'm coming to you from right now. We're coming to you from Austin, Texas, just north of San Antonio, that has confirmed cases. I-35 is right down the street from here, just a mile away from me, and it goes right to San Antonio. San Antonio's that way, to my south. So we don't know. It's just very suspicious studying this for a decade with top experts. And all these murders of microbiologists that work specifically with weaponized flu, being brutally murdered and killed and tortured all over, from Australia to Russia to Germany to England to the United States, to Mexico, to Chile, to knowing the CDC and Homeland Security and the Security and Prosperity Partnership, stating in classified documents that Judicial Watch sued and got that they could use an economic crisis, a military crisis, or a flu pandemic, a dark winter scenario, to bring in martial law, to bring in the North American Union to say, oh, my God, look at our borders. We were unable to shut these down quick enough, but they want a continental border, merging our police and military openly, the same command and control will still be separate, but operationally under control, like NATO, commands 15-something nations, but it's separate nations, but all under its joint command. So it's operational integration. They said they would use things like this. So then you have Barack Obama and the Bushes and everybody else owning Tamiflu stock that's shooting up right now. You have the fact that the White House was on Cipro, the anthrax-fighting antibiotic. The Associated Press reported. Ari Fleischer was asked about it, the White House press secretary, years ago. He said, yeah, the whole White House was on Cipro September 10th, 3.5 weeks before anthrax got mailed around. Then it was a U.S. government weaponized version from Fort Detrick, Maryland. That's confirmed. They tried to lie about it. They later had to admit it. I mean, you got this history here. So, of course, if there was a murder committed in Austin and the guy killed people a certain way, and the police had a file on a released murderer who had a history of killing people this way, that'd be the first person that they would go interview, would be that individual. Come on in, Aaron. Thank you, sir. A lot of new developments. We'll go over this coming up. Thank you, Aaron. I've got one of my most important reports here, a video report that you came in and gave me, and I've got so many articles here. There it is, Dark Winter. Okay, thank you. By the way, I asked Kurt to get this up. I'm not sure if he has this up. Will you IM him that, Jaron, that video clip we're about to play? Make sure that gets posted at Infowars.com right now. Dark Winter pretext. We're going to go over that coming up. I haven't even gotten started here. I promise to take your calls. Let me just give you the number. It's 888-201-2244. But let me say this. I'm asking you to wait 5 minutes when we open these phone lines up before you call, the general public calls, for people in Mexico City. I know we get calls from there from time to time, a lot of emails from there. For people in Mexico City, in Kansas, in San Antonio,